Two things we're going to go over in this video. Number one, I'm going to go through the diagram you see in front of me. This is a system that you should put into your business to make sure when your sales team has sent out a quote or a proposal, that there's an automated piece of that that's following up with the lead for them so that they don't have to worry about it. There's a lot of times this is where the ball gets dropped. You know, they have so many deals that they're working, they forget to follow up at the right times, at the right places to make sure that they sign the deal and move forward. And that's how we lose deals. So we want to automate this as much as we can. Your sales team will also thank you for that because there's a lot less manual stuff they have to worry about. The second part of the video, we're going to go through how we know how much money this would save you in 1 year if you implemented this system. So stick around for the second half. We'll go through that together. It's all done with math, so you'll see how we do that once I break it out. Okay, so at this point in the sales cycle, right, you have a service or a product you're selling. You've got somebody interested. They said, yes, let's do it. Send us the numbers. We want to review it. So your sales team, they draft up a quote or a proposal and they send it over to the client. That's the stage we're at. After you send that over, as we all know, unless you have the perfect candidate, they're not going to sign that deal right off the bat. They're likely going to procrastinate. They're likely going to take some time on it. They're going to think of more excuses. They're going to think of more hesitancies as why they don't want to do it, right? All these objections start coming out at this point. So what's going to happen is they send it, and we basically, the first decision that we want to make is how often does your business want to actually send a follow-up reminder? This is different for every business. As the consultants, we come in, we look at your process, and we figure out what works best. If you're on the smaller side and you've never done this, it's not really a right or wrong. We can just kind of set some time frame, test it out, see what the results are, and then refine it as your business goes. If you're on the bigger side, you probably have an idea on this already because you've done that process. So you might know after we send the proposal, if we send them a reminder that day, that's too soon, right? They get turned off by that. They don't want to talk to us. It comes off as desperate. What we'd like to do is maybe wait 2 days, 3 days before we follow up with them. So whatever that number is, we want to determine that together. And then we're going to decide that. Okay, we sent the proposal yesterday. We're going to wait, whatever it might be, 2 days, 3 days to follow up with this person. Let's just say 3 for this example. We wait 3 days to follow up with that lead. Okay, so after we do that in our automation, we're going to look to see the date that gets stamped when we send the proposal. If you don't have that already, we would implement that. Just basically says, hey, we sent a quote from Salesforce. Here's the date that we did that. And it stamps the date inside of the quote for us. Okay, so now we have the date, know when we sent it. And what we're going to do on the back end is just check in 3 days from now and say, okay, it's been 3 days. Yep. All right, go ahead and see what the status of that proposal is. Have they opened it? Have they approved it? Have they rejected it? Have they not done anything with it? Is it just still showing delivered? So there's a few different things in here that potentially could happen. And again, for your business, this could be slightly different depending on what you guys do. In general, though, there's usually statuses here of what we're trying to look for. In this situation for this business, they have just delivered. All right, we sent the proposal. Maybe they use a marketing tool that tells them when they opened it, like DocuSign, for example, really does that. Okay, they've opened it, they've read it, they've looked at it, cool. If it doesn't have that, we just know that, yes, it got to them, it was delivered, but nobody has done anything with it. Or in other words, nobody's even taken the time to read it yet. So in that situation, if we check in 3 days and nobody's even opened this thing, sure that we remind them that this thing is here. So we send this person an email. We have some copywriting in there that basically says, hey, just as a reminder, we sent this out 3 days ago. Feel free to check it out. Whatever it is that you want to say, we draft something up and we send out this automated reminder to push them to do that. If the status is open, meaning they've read it, but they haven't done anything with it, they haven't approved or rejected, it could just mean, hey, they're still discussing it, might still have some questions. Maybe they're now coming up with those objections we talked about. Those are all pretty common. In those situations, you may want to consider sending some type of value email. So maybe we know, hey, this was the common objection we get at this point is always about price. They're now looking at price for the first time. We're going to send an email as to why, we're unique and we think this is going to build a great partnership together. Whatever you might want to add here. And again, don't take these as gold. These are just ideas that we're floating that other businesses have used. We can always tailor these to whatever you want to do. The point I'm trying to show you with this system is that we want to automate these pieces and send out the right type of message to them at the right time. So again, if that doesn't make sense to you to add a value email, maybe you want to push them to get on a call, we could do that too. You send them an email from the sales rep that's automated, says, hey, it's been 3 days, haven't heard back from you. Schedule a time with us, we could get on a call. Or, maybe you propose a time. Can we get on a call today, this afternoon? We could do whatever you want. We would just look at your business and figure out what do we want to send at this point in time. The other one we have here is approved. So in this situation, great, they did approve it. They took care of it all by themselves. We want to send them a thank you email. And in this situation, we actually want to usually bypass this. If you're a little bit smaller, maybe this doesn't matter too much at this stage, but typically if somebody approves something for you, especially if it's a good amount of money, we usually don't want there to be a delay, and we just want to have a trigger that would say, hey, they approved this proposal, they approved this quote, automatically send them a thank you and tell them that we'll be in touch, whatever, to set up a call and do our onboarding with them. So typically want to bypass this. If you're on the smaller side, like I said, maybe you're still okay to get away with this, but it's not best practice. I would push you to do this almost instantaneously. In this situation, whatever you do, a delay or no delay, we want to send some kind of thank you email, as well as some follow-up tasks for the sales rep that they need to follow to get them onboarded. And in this email, we probably also want to guide the client as to what to expect next. Everybody just goes with the plan if you give them a plan. Where people get confused, frustrated, and mad and want to drop off is when they don't know the plan. So you always want to be giving them a next step after they take care of what you told them to take care of. So in this situation, we told them to take care of signing it. They signed it. Now what do I do? In this email, this is where we guide them to do that. Okay, great. Thanks for signing. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to it. Awesome to partner up. Here's what we're going to do next. This Friday, we're going to talk to you. We're going to do this onboarding, yada, yada, yada. So we want to send something like that, as well as those follow-up tasks of what needs to be done, to either your account manager or the sales rep or whoever's going to be taking over for the onboarding process. If it gets rejected, a common thing that can happen is same thing. We don't usually want to wait for a delay, especially if they reject. In these two situations, approved or rejected, you really want to act on this right away, because it's an approval. Great. They're excited. You're excited. They want that momentum. They want to see that you're paying attention. They want to know that they're taken care of and heard, and they feel like you're going to make sure they get what they want. So you want to act instantaneously. Same with rejected though, too. If it gets rejected right away, it shows a level of care that, hey, I saw this. It didn't go the way you wanted, or you didn't like the proposal we sent. What can we do from here to be able to still earn your business? So we usually don't want to wait for a delay. In these two situations, I would say bypass it. In that situation, if it's instantaneous or delay, whatever you choose, we want to usually look at the deal size. So a couple things here. This is more as you get bigger, but a very common thing that will happen that we set up for businesses is we look at the deal size. And depending on the deal size, we typically want to pull in other types of people to that deal so that we can either save it, negotiate, or get eyes on it so that we don't lose it completely. So if this is, for example, bigger than a $50,000 deal, maybe in this situation is when it warrants us to get the sales manager involved. It doesn't have to be 50,000, could be a lot smaller if you want it to be. The point would just be there's some type of threshold there that says, hey, this is a big deal, or this is big enough for us to really care about that we probably need some extra thinking power or brainstorming to figure out how to save it. Let's pull in the sales manager, notify them so that they are aware that this deal here just got rejected. That way they can work with the sales rep, figure out if we can negotiate terms or whatever we can do to get back on the phone and try to save it. If it's under a certain threshold, in this situation I put under 50K. If it's under 50K, maybe it's not that big of a deal to you. And it's not to say that you don't care, but this person takes time, money, and has priorities too. So we don't really want to pull them in if it's something smaller that we feel like the sales rep can still handle, or it's lower stakes. So maybe in this situation, we just want the sales rep to be notified. Hey, they rejected it. Now go into your negotiation phase and see what we can do to save the deal. Either way, we're trying to save the deal. But there's definitely going to be opportunities you get as a business that you really want all hands on deck to make sure that you can land, and other ones that are, maybe a little more common, lower stakes that you feel your sales team is well equipped to handle. So this gives you a good idea that everything we mentioned here, right, is stuff that typically is happening inside your business. A lot of the time when we get in, it's usually just happening manually, meaning this is all happening. It's just probably not happening efficiently because nobody is doing this at the right times and at the right places. So, hey, yeah, I did send email reminders, but I forgot about it for a week because I went on PTO. And so I sent them all when I got back, but I haven't heard from them. Well, in that situation, maybe you waited way too long, right? They thought, hey, they sent this out. They haven't really heard from them. They never followed up. We don't want to do business with a person like that. So you want systems in place that don't fail if people leave. And that's what we're trying to account for. If your sales rep goes on PTO, gets fired, quits, whatever, you still want this system to run and take care of the people that you're trying to get into the business. Same thing with everything else we mentioned here. So now your objection is going to be, cool, this sounds good. I like this. I should probably do this. You could either do it yourself, which is always the option, or you can hire someone like myself to come in and do this with my team. If you want to do that, the next question you're thinking is, how much is that going to cost? And how do we know how much money we're going to get out of this? What we have to do in this situation is think about how much time you're spending doing this right now. If you're too small, yeah, it might actually not make sense to hire somebody to come and solve this problem for you. If this is happening a lot at a larger scale, then it's going to be a no-brainer, and you should definitely hire someone to do that. So how do we figure that out? I'm going to show you right now. This is our calculator that we want to look at. So this is how you want to think about problems as a business. So there's very obvious things that happen that we're typically used to solving as a business owner, which is, hey, I don't get leads now, and so we don't make money now. If I hire a sales rep for $80,000 a year and he can land me 3 leads every month, I know that we'll make $160,000 more every year. So in other words, that's a no-brainer because I pay him $80,000 and he's going to double my money. He's going to make $160,000 for me every year. That's typically the way we think about solving problems. It's easy, you get it, you understand that if I do this, I make this. In these situations where you're hiring engineers, you're hiring managers, you're hiring consultants, you're hiring customer service maybe, in these situations, a lot of times we're taking care of things and making them more efficient. And it's hard at times to calculate how much more efficient your business is or how much money you saved by paying somebody to do it. In a lot of ways you think, okay, yeah, it helps. I know I need it. I know I need the customer service team or whatever. But I really don't know how much I should pay them because I don't know how much they're making me at the end of the year. So this is how we do this. We take the salary that you're going to pay, or we try to reverse engineer it by figuring out how long and how much time is being spent right now with you guys doing it manually. So since we just talked about sales in this situation, we're going to have around 80,000, I feel like is pretty fair here in the US. That's a base salary for most most salespeople. It might be up or down for you, but 80,000 is a pretty fair base. Then we're going to calculate how many weeks per year they work. In the US, everybody usually works 50 weeks out of the 52. So you get 2 weeks of vacation, it's pretty standard. So we have 50 weeks. And then we have how many hours that they work per week. A working week here in the US is 40 hours. So we have 40 hours placed here. That does the math for us in this spreadsheet and tells us, okay, if you pay somebody 80 grand a year and they work this much, you're paying them 40 bucks an hour when you break out that salary. Which we want to know that, because if they spend an hour a day on something, we want to know that that costed us 40 bucks. And that's what the left side over here is going to tell us. So we have total time or hours per day that they spend on this thing. So like I said, if they spend 2 hours a day going through all their leads that they have doing this thing, then it will calculate that for us at 40 bucks an hour and say, hey, you're spending 80 bucks a day doing this task for just one sales rep. But how many sales reps do you have? Do you have 1 or do you have 5, right? If you have 5, well, now this just jumped up from 80 bucks a day to 400 bucks a day. And it's 25% of their time every single day that they're using putting towards this manual thing that they're doing, just sending out all these auto reminders. At the end of the year, you're spending $140,000 by not solving this problem. So in other words, if we don't do anything, if we just let the system stay the way it is and you don't hire a consultant like myself to come in, you will spend $140,000 a year in wasted effort, or actually it is still just effort. You're spending that with your sales team. You're giving them money per hour when you break out the salary like we showed you, and that's what this comes out to. So now we have a number. So now this makes it easier for you to do the math. So if we come in and we quote you, hey, this is going to cost whatever, I don't know off my head for your business, but let's just say this is, even 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand. Even if we went clear up to 100 grand, which it would not be for something that simple, but if it was, you still would be out ahead, right? You would know, hey, we still are going to save 40 grand a year by paying them 100 grand to do this thing for us. So this makes it a lot easier to get around the idea of like, should we pay for it or shouldn't we? Now the reverse is also true, right? If you're a small company and you pay this guy $50,000 a year, okay, and he is only a one-person show, and this is only taking him maybe not even an hour, maybe it's taking him 30 minutes a day, and you just got one of them, this is only $4 grand, per year. So if you're a little bit smaller, spending $4 grand a year for him to do this, and we come in and we do the opposite, like I just told you, we quote you 10, 20, 100 grand, you know that that's a bad deal because, hey, that's going to cost us too much to automate this. We're really not losing that much time or effort on this by having him do this manually for right now. So we're just going to stay with what we got. So you do want to know this for better or for worse so that you can then decide if you should spend the money on it. So that's how we break this out. This is how we approach all our projects as well, whatever we work on. But this helps you understand that you are getting a return on your investment by spending it on the consultant. Okay, cool. If that seems interesting to you, I do have a link down in the description. You can hit us up. We'll find out if we are a good fit for you guys by taking a quick 30-minute call with you. If we are a good fit, we'd love to work with you and then go through this process with you guys to send out our proposal, get some of those auto reminders going, and hopefully partner up so that we can come in and implement this system for you. Appreciate it. Thanks.